Darkness always gathers in groups, but the light often walks alone. There are moments when a single spirit stands against many, and the balance shifts not through fists or weapons, but through a deeper strength that few ever train to master. Today, I want to speak with you about what it truly means to be a one-man army. The words sound dramatic, yet behind them lies a teaching that goes far beyond battles. It is about facing confusion with clarity, fear with stillness, and shadows with unshakable presence. Shaolin wisdom tells us that one mind, disciplined and awake, can stand in the middle of chaos and dissolve it, not by fighting harder, but by seeing deeper. In this teaching, a coven of witches does not only mean external enemies, it also speaks of inner forces that gather to weaken your focus, drain your energy, and bend your spirit. In this video, you will learn the weapons that are not seen, the power of silence, the discipline of breath, the guarding of energy, and the art of moving in alignment with body and spirit. These are the tools of the chosen ones, the reasons they can stand where others fall. Few speak of these truths, because they are not easy. They require patience, training, and vision, but those who hold them become unshakable, no matter how many forces rise against them. If you stay with me until the end, you will understand why one aligned soul is stronger than an entire army of distraction, and you will see how these principles can turn your own life into a fortress of clarity and power. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. Subscribe now and walk this path with us. There are moments when the loudest enemies are not outside, but within. A coven is not always a group of people with malicious intent. It is a gathering of energies, fear, doubt, distraction, that whisper and push against the chosen one from every direction. These forces work quietly, like shadows pulling around a candle flame, threatening to snuff it out. I have seen how even the strongest can falter when the mind is unsettled. Witches, in this teaching, are symbols of the distractions that fracture focus, the fears that paralyze action, and the subtle attacks on spirit that often go unnoticed. They gather in numbers, not because they are powerful alone, but because scattered attention feeds them. A single worry, repeated thought, or unresolved emotion becomes a foothold. When these energies come together, they form a coven, a chorus of resistance against clarity, a web that seeks to entangle the unprepared. The chosen one learns to recognize this, not with anger, but with awareness. Shaolin practice teaches that inner noise is as dangerous as outer threats. Meditation, mindful breathing, and disciplined thought become the shields that repel these forces. When the mind is steady, the whispers lose their power, the shadows shrink, and the coven cannot reach you. Mastery of self is mastery of the battlefield. It is the quiet realization that distraction cannot hold sway over one who is rooted. When you stand in this presence, external pressure bends around you like wind around a mountain, and the coven, no matter how many voices, becomes powerless. Here lies the lesson. The fight is never only outside. Every coven faced, every attack endured begins and ends within. Those who can sit in silence, unshaken by whispers, carry a strength that cannot be measured by numbers. In the quiet halls of Shaolin temples, strength alone is never celebrated. It is discipline that earns respect, that shapes the raw potential of the body and mind into something unshakable. Power without restraint is like a river without banks, wild, unpredictable, and soon spent. The monks have long understood this truth. The body can fight, the mind can plan, but only discipline binds them into a force that cannot be broken. Discipline is more than following rules or enduring pain. It is the slow, patient forging of attention and intention. Each movement, each breath, each thought is trained to follow purpose. Without this, even the strongest blows scatter into emptiness, and the mind, untamed, becomes its own enemy. One can have arms of steel and a heart of chaos, yet still fall in the face of subtle challenges. When discipline is cultivated, the effect is profound. A single person can carry the weight of an army not by multiplying strength, but by multiplying focus, presence, and resolve. Every step becomes precise, every decision deliberate, every energy contained. The individual becomes a center of order in a world of disorder, a living demonstration that mastery does not require numbers, but alignment. This principle is not limited to the physical. Shaolin wisdom extends it to thought, emotion, and spirit. Discipline anchors the mind when fear rises, steadies the heart when desire tempts, and sharpens vision when confusion clouds the way. Over time, it transforms one's entire being, making the impossible possible, not through sudden force, but through relentless, patient cultivation. In the end, discipline is the quiet force that underlies all greatness. Strength can impress, but discipline sustains. It turns potential into reality and the lone practitioner into a presence that commands, endures, and transcends any challenge. Breath is the thread that ties the body to the mind, the present to the eternal. In moments of chaos, when pressure mounts and distractions swarm like unseen shadows, it is the breath that anchors the spirit. Ancient Shaolin teachings call it the first and most reliable weapon, silent, invisible, yet unbreakable. To inhale is to gather clarity. To exhale is to release what clouds perception. In this rhythm lies power that cannot be seen but can be felt. When facing forces that seek to disturb, unsettle, or overwhelm, mindful breathing becomes a shield. Each inhale draws energy inward, centering the mind, while each exhale disperses fear and tension, stripping away the grip of doubt. The Coven, whether external pressures or inner fears, cannot touch the stillness cultivated here. They strike at chaos, at reaction, at panic, but the mind, rooted in steady breath, moves like a mountain in a storm, unmoved, enduring, silent. This practice is not a simple trick, nor a fleeting relief. It is a discipline honed over countless repetitions. The monks understood that battle begins in the mind long before it appears in the world. When the breath is steady, the body follows, decisions become sharper, and energy no longer leaks into distraction. Fear loses its edge because it cannot find a place to cling. Over time, this rhythm becomes instinctive. Inhale, center, exhale, release. The body and mind synchronize, creating an invisible fortress that shields from attack without aggression. Even in moments that feel overwhelming, the breath restores command. Through mindful breathing, mastery is subtle but absolute. It teaches patience, presence, and resilience. The quiet power of a calm, controlled breath transforms a lone individual into a presence that cannot be shaken, a force that the unseen and unseen alike cannot penetrate. There is a strength in stillness that surpasses action. In the quiet halls of Shaolin, monks are taught that not every strike deserves a counter, not every provocation demands a response. Reaction, when impulsive, scatters energy and weakens resolve. Silence, by contrast, concentrates it, transforming restraint into power. Silence is not emptiness. It is an active presence, a force that holds attention and intention without waste. When confronted with attack, whether words, gestures, or unseen forces, the one who has mastered this principle does not move hastily. They observe, absorb, and wait. Every thought, every breath, every gesture is measured, reserved for the precise moment when it will have maximum effect. This practice teaches that energy is sacred and finite. Expending it on unnecessary battles is surrendering advantage before it is earned. The Coven, the chaos, the fear, they strike quickly, seeking to provoke response. But the disciplined mind remains still, letting the effort of others expend itself against calm awareness. In this, silence becomes a shield, a trap, and a weapon all at once. Ancient Shaolin wisdom frames silence not only as defense, but as mastery over the self. To speak, to act, to react, without need or purpose, is to scatter life force. To hold back, to let the storm pass through one without disturbance, is to conserve power that later becomes unstoppable. Through this restraint, a lone individual commands more influence than many who rush forward in chaos. The unseen strength lies in the pause, in the decision to move only when it matters. In mastering silence, the chosen one transforms restraint into an art, invisibility into dominance, and patience into the most precise form of action. True power does not roar, it flows. The chosen one moves not with the chaos of force, but with the quiet alignment of body, mind, and spirit. Shaolin masters have long taught that when these three elements are in harmony, obstacles dissolve as if they were never there. Resistance meets not confrontation, but a current it cannot swim against. This harmony begins in stillness. The body, trained through disciplined practice, becomes precise and alert, capable of movement that is both effortless and decisive. The mind, cultivated through meditation and focus, learns to see clearly, to discern threats before they appear, and to remain unmoved by distraction. The spirit, nurtured through intention and awareness, binds them together, creating a presence that is whole, unfragmented, and unshakable. When the chosen one acts, it is not with tension, but with flow. Every step, every breath, every thought aligns with purpose. The world around responds naturally, resistance bends, chaos retreats, and confusion finds no foothold. In this way, victory is not a struggle against what is outside, but the effortless unfolding of what is inside. Ancient teachings remind us that attempts to dominate through force alone are temporary. Strength without harmony fractures, energy leaks, and the smallest disruption can undo the strongest effort. But alignment, quiet, patient, and disciplined, creates a force that is enduring. It does not exhaust, it does not falter, and it does not need numbers to prevail. The chosen one becomes like water flowing around rocks, persistent, unstoppable, and perfectly attuned. When inner harmony is complete, even the heaviest opposition cannot stand. The lesson is clear. Mastery is not in overpowering the world, but in perfecting the self, so that the world must yield naturally to the presence of one fully aligned. Energy is the quiet current beneath all action, the invisible thread that sustains life and focus. Ancient Shaolin teachings call it qi, the life force that flows through the body, mind, and spirit. When cultivated, it becomes a reservoir of clarity and power. When scattered, it leaves the individual vulnerable, adrift, and weak. Those who understand this truth treat energy as sacred, guarding it as one would guard the gates of a fortress. A coven, whether literal or symbolic, feeds on what is scattered. Fear, doubt, and distraction leak energy into the world, and forces that seek to weaken the chosen thrive on these fragments. Every unnecessary worry, every reaction without awareness becomes fuel. The more the mind and spirit are divided, the easier it is for external or internal pressures to take hold. The chosen one, by contrast, preserves energy with discipline. Qi is gathered inward, like sunlight collected into a vessel, concentrated and unbroken. Breath, movement, and attention are tools to redirect life force, keeping it whole and potent. This inward flow creates a field of presence, a fortress of light that shields from intrusion. Scattered attacks strike the surface, but cannot penetrate the depth of centered energy. Guarding qi is not passive, it is active mastery. It requires awareness of every thought, every tension, and every impulse, so that energy is neither wasted nor surrendered. Through meditation, disciplined practice, and mindful attention, the chosen one turns the body into a vessel of strength, the mind into a beacon of clarity, and the spirit into a wellspring of resilience. In this way, power becomes invisible yet undeniable. The coven may surround, threats may press, but a chosen one who guards their life force moves through the world untouched, luminous, and whole. The fortress within cannot be breached because it is built from the mastery of self, sustained by the quiet, disciplined flow of qi. Some battles are fought, not in the world, but within. The coven that surrounds the chosen one often takes the shape of hidden fears, suppressed desires, and unacknowledged parts of the self. These are the shadows we carry quietly, the whispers that undermine confidence, the doubts that appear in moments of stillness. They gather strength, not by force, but by our avoidance. Shaolin practice offers a way through this inner maze. In meditation, the practitioner turns toward what frightens or unsettles, holding it gently in awareness rather than fleeing. The moment fear is met with attention, it begins to dissolve. Shadows lose their form when illuminated by conscious presence. What once controlled action now becomes a teacher, revealing insight rather than exerting power. This is the essence of inner mastery. recognizing that the true threat is not outside but within. Every hidden corner of the mind is a battlefield, and the one who avoids it carries chains invisibly. Meditation acts as both sword and shield, training the mind to face fear without being consumed, to see the suppressed self without judgment, and to integrate it into wholeness. Over time, this practice transforms perception. External attacks, which once seemed overwhelming, lose their grip because they mirror nothing new. The practitioner has already faced greater storms within. The witches outside, the distractions, manipulations, and pressures cannot feed on fear that has been met and understood. Through confronting the hidden self, discipline and awareness converge. Strength becomes calm, presence becomes unshakable, and fear no longer dictates action. What was once a coven of shadows inside becomes clarity and resilience, a foundation for navigating any challenge outside. True mastery is not the absence of fear, but the ability to meet it and emerge unchanged, anchored in the stillness that meditation cultivates. Greatness is rarely forged in a single moment. True victory is the result of patient, consistent effort, repeated quietly over time. Shaolin wisdom teaches that one drop of water falling each day wears away stone more effectively than a sudden flood once a year. The chosen one understands this principle, embracing daily preparation as the unseen work that shapes extraordinary strength. Each day, the body, mind, and spirit are trained with purpose. Movements are repeated, not for display, but to ingrain precision and endurance. Thoughts are disciplined, emotions observed and balanced, energy preserved and directed. The practice is quiet, often unseen, yet its effects are profound. What appears effortless in the moment of challenge is built from countless hours of patient cultivation. This principle extends beyond physical training. Mental resilience grows through reflection and focus. Emotional mastery strengthens through stillness and awareness. Spiritual alignment deepens through mindful attention to the present. Every small act of preparation compounds, creating an invisible foundation that supports the chosen one when external pressures rise. The power of consistency lies in its subtlety. Unlike bursts of effort, which flare and fade, steady preparation becomes part of one's nature. Habits shape character, discipline shapes mind, and repetition shapes destiny. Challenges that would overwhelm the untrained are met with calm efficiency, because the groundwork has been laid quietly, persistently, and without expectation. In this way, the chosen one moves through life as a force refined by time. Each day's small commitment becomes armor, each moment of focus a weapon. By honoring the slow, patient rhythm of preparation, victory is not a surprise, it is the natural unfolding of readiness. In the world of unseen battles, the quiet, disciplined practice of daily mastery transforms one individual into an unshakable presence, capable of facing any trial with unwavering clarity. The greatest warriors are not those who strike hardest, but those who see deepest. The chosen one understands that the true battlefield is rarely made of flesh and bone. It is composed of energies, fear, doubt, distraction, and intention that ripple through the world, shaping outcomes far more than brute force ever could. To engage only the surface is to miss the essence of the struggle. This vision transforms every encounter. What seems like a fight becomes a lesson. Each challenge reveals patterns, exposes weaknesses, and uncovers truths about the self. The chosen one learns not simply to survive, but to perceive, to adapt, and to grow. Energy flows where attention goes, and by observing it with clarity, the practitioner turns obstacles into guides, chaos into insight. Shaolin teachings emphasize that awareness of energy is more valuable than reaction to action. A single force understood can be redirected. A torrent studied can be navigated. The chosen one does not move blindly against opposition. Instead, every decision, every step, every thought is informed by the deeper currents that shape the fight. This understanding transforms vulnerability into strength, resistance into fluidity, and opposition into opportunity. By seeing beyond the fight, the chosen one cultivates patience and perspective. Fear loses its urgency, aggression loses its edge, and the mind gains a calm sharpness that cannot be shaken. Battles are no longer emergencies demanding reaction, but mirrors reflecting mastery or revealing where mastery is still needed. In this way, the Chosen One approaches life with the poise of someone who knows the war is subtle and unseen. Survival is only the beginning. Every struggle becomes a teacher. Every opposition a step toward greater alignment. Through this vision, mastery is not merely strength. It is understanding, clarity, and the ability to move unbroken through a world that tests the spirit at every turn. The path of the one-man army shows us that true strength is quiet, steady, and rooted within. It is not measured by the battles fought outside, but by mastery over the self, through discipline, silence, mindful breath, and alignment of body, mind, and spirit. By guarding energy, facing hidden fears, and holding a clear vision, the Chosen One stands whole, unshakable, and untouched by darkness. These are not distant teachings, they are tools for daily life. Begin with small acts of discipline, moments of stillness, and conscious awareness of your own energy. Face what has been hidden within and notice how clarity and calm flow naturally outward. With patience and practice, your inner fortress grows stronger, and you become a presence that cannot be swayed by distraction, fear, or chaos. Let this lesson guide your steps, your thoughts, and your choices. Strength is cultivated, not imposed. Mastery is earned quietly, one deliberate breath at a time. Thank you for walking this path with us today. If this message resonates, give it a like and join our community by subscribing to Shaolin Soulfire. Carry these teachings into your life and let your inner light move steadily, calmly, and powerfully through every challenge.